Many thanks for staying and welcome back. The Bank of Ghana and other regulators in the Africa region would have the final say on that investor who can become who can take over Barclays operations in Africa. George Rafi has come through with this report.
According to Barclays, the College of Regulators led by the South African Reserve Bank and others like the Bank of Ghana are going to carry out the due diligence on that investor who wants to take over Barclays Africa, the owner of Barclays Bank Ghana. Group Head of Communications at Barclays Africa, Senzingo Zibi, outlines other areas that regulators in these 11 countries the Barclays operates will look at, which includes experience in retail and corporate banking, as well as a well-capitalized financial institution. This is to ensure that the African identity of the bank is protected.
How far you are spread elsewhere and how exposed you are if there was to be a recession in countries. They look at how far you are concentrated into a particular sector, for instance. They would look at what their exposure is elsewhere, so they would...
This assurance, according to analysts, should ensure that whoever takes over Barclays appreciates its culture, and therefore customers of Barclays Bank Ghana should be assured that there wouldn't be any drastic change that would affect them when the sell down is completed. Barclays UK last year announced the decision to reduce its holding in Africa as part of a new regulatory requirement to a non-controlling stake. It has managed to sell about 12% and is currently waiting for regulatory approval to sell the rest to reduce its interest in Barclays Africa to about 20%.
Now, what kind of friends are on your social media network like Facebook and Instagram? What are they saying about you? Well, very soon that could be an added advantage in securing credit from Barclays Bank. The institution is currently carrying out some test runs on the scheme that would be called social media lending. Barclays is hoping to introduce it very soon, subject to regulatory approvals. Chief Digital Officer at Barclays Africa, Mvalaye Kurama, has been speaking with George Riafe in Johannesburg.
The rationale is that in order to really understand our customers, we need to go beyond the traditional credit scoring for deciding, as being the only criteria for deciding, whether a customer is credible or not. The customer credibility comes from not only his payment history, his income, but also from his network, his social network. And the best way to measure the social network today, because of all the digital capabilities that exist, is to look at your digital footprint and understand how your network is evolving on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on other social media, and how that network can be used to assess your credibility. And that becomes as an additional point that we can evaluate in making a decision whether the customer that we're interacting with has the credibility that we're looking for to extend various financial services.
So if, for instance, George Riafe has connected to Citibank, friends who are MDs, who are financial controllers, who are accountants, and all the rest, it means that I am quite a credible person that you can consider for credit.
It's one data point. It's not the only data point. So it has your network and how your network is interacting. It has the different comments that are coming about you, or the different comment that you are making yourself. So it's one data point in a suite of other data points that has to be evaluated to measure your credibility.
And meanwhile, in an interview with Joy Business, Managing Director of Barclays Bank Ghana, Patience Achanu, says 70% of all Barclays banking services will become digitized by the year 2020.
Indeed, for us, our vision is by 2020 to see 70% of our banking being digital. And that is very much in sync with the statement I made earlier, that there's focus on investing more and more on platforms that will make banking convenient to our customers.
Now, touching on the rift between mobile money operators and traditional banks, Patience Achanu says it is an opportunity to extend banking services to the large unbanked population in the country and should not be seen as a threat to the banking sector.
Opportunity. Because you just said 60 to 70% of our population is unbanked. And so if there are alternative modes of delivering financial intermediation to the unbanked, why should that be more of a threat than an opportunity? So our position is to partner with these telcos and other such institutions to be able to access what is glaringly an opportunity and bring on board as much as we can a lot of these into the formal banking sector, but also make available to them these alternatives.
Now away from banking, plans are underway to construct what will become the country's biggest shopping mall in the northern regional capital, Tamale. The project, being spearheaded by the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, SADA, should cost over $100 million. SADA has been seeking support from potential investors, and the feedback has been positive so far. Coordinator of Private Sector and Investment at SADA, Francis Ashon Katai, has been speaking with Joy Business in South Africa on a trade mission organized by the Ghana-South Africa Business Chamber.
Our entire master planning process is actually 1 year. And already there are people that are keen to take our projects in this master plan before we even bring the process to, a logical conclusion. So for us, I don't think it's been very long overdue. I think that there is investor appetite, and those people that have gone to even build a shopping mall in Kumasi are asking themselves, where next? And we have been telling them the next place you can look at is the SADA zone. In a way, we can even say it's logical, because if you start from the south and you are climbing up, so I think it's logical. There hasn't been that much delay, and I think that if we are able to get some other partners to join in the project, we will realize it much more quicker than would normally be the case.
Okay, so if I understand, based on your plan, you're hoping to see that happen in a year's time?
Less than a year.
And how much will that cost?
Well, that will cost in excess of $100 million. Yes, but I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly, because it depends on specific architectural drawings and designs, and also with construction, there are some incidental costs, but generally it should be within that region.
Okay.
Now, reports say the price of oil has fallen by about 5%, despite oil-producing nations agreeing to extend production cuts for a further 9 months. Meeting in Vienna, energy ministers from both OPEC and non-OPEC countries agreed to maintain output curbs due to expire next month until March 2018. So this is a very worrying situation, and we want to explore the impact of this on the Ghanaian economy, as we are also a petroleum production nation and also a petroleum importing nation. And we've got on the line economist Dr. John Gachi to tell us what the impact will be on this on our economy. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the marketplace.
Good afternoon.
Now, this is quite a serious situation. Production countries, oil-producing nations, deciding to to maintain output levels, and then still oil price dropping. What's your explanation on this?
Your line is not clear.
Hello, doctor. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. So I'm saying that oil-producing nations have decided to maintain the production levels. Meanwhile, price of crude oil has been dropping by about 5%. What could be the impact on this?
Yeah, I think the impact on us is very clear. We have set a certain price, and based on that price, we have projected our revenue to support the budget. If the price drops below the projected price for the fiscal year, it means that we are going to get lesser revenue, and it will affect projects and programs that are predicated on proceeds from crude oil. But there is the downstream also, where reduction in crude oil price may influence a downward trend in the prices at the downstream. So if that continues, we may see the cost of producing power and all those things go down slightly. And that would be for the benefit of those who participate in the downstream. So that is the two effects that we should be expecting.
All right, so how would you explain the situation where producing nations decide to maintain output levels and prices going down? Because we know that largely prices of crude oil are determined by the forces of demand and supply. What could be your explanation to this?
Yeah, it is true that forces of demand and supply are at play, but there are also specific factors that drive demand and that also drive supply. You will notice that OPEC members have decided to set the production at a certain level, but you also notice that at the same time, production in the U.S. is still going up and is projected to go up by about 10% this year. We also do know that Nigeria is also one of the biggest producers when we come to Africa. They were exempted from the limitation they placed on production, and Libya is experiencing some relative stability now. And if this stability goes on, their production will also go up. At the same time, when many economies are not doing so well, so demand for crude oil and its derivative products are not so robust as it used to be. So these are the factors that are accounting for what we are experiencing in terms of the price development.
All right, so what should our government be doing now, especially when we have benchmarked our budget around a particular figure above the $50 mark and is now down to 45 or so? What should our government be doing? Should there be any cause of worry?
Well, I think the government should study the market and see whether this will be a prolonged development. If it's a prolonged development, then I think there's a need to revise the budget as we used to do in 2015 and 2016 when there was significant fall in prices. If that is done, then that can be accommodated somehow. But practically, it is very difficult for the government to do something so significant to arrest the situation.
Now, since we are a net importer of crude, would it necessarily lead to making some savings?
Well, that would depend on the approach that the government adopts. In the past, the approach has to do with trying to look at the fiscal management within the downstream petroleum sector, whereby even though prices internationally were going down, but you keep a certain marginal increase in the downstream petroleum products so that you can use the revenue to actually, if you like, defray some of the losses in revenue from the upstream. So if the government is minded to do that, we have done it before in this country, and it could be done again. But it all depends on the financial management philosophy of the government.
Do you think hedging is still a necessity at this time?
You need to do hedging at a point in time. You do not wait when prices are going down. Then you rush to the market that you are going to engage in hedging. Hedging must be planned and executed properly. So I do not think that because prices are going down, merely because of this, if you rush into engaging in hedging. There are many other factors you need to consider before going into hedging.
All right, thank you very much.
Of course,
please go ahead.
Of course, if you look at the program of our budget, it is also very clear that using derivative instruments to trade our crude is an option on the table, but you can only activate those options when the environment is right. So government ought to study the environment and be clear that the environment is right to engage in hedging before we do that.
All right. Many thanks for your time, Dr. John Gachi, an economist, giving us some analysis on the situation currently going on the international market, where crude prices are witnessing a downward trend. It's gone down 5%, and OPEC countries are still maintaining output levels. You're still on the marketplace, and moving on, some local artisans are calling on government to establish industrial hubs and equip them with modern tools to help them come up with products and services that meet international standards. They made a call at a national rally in Kumasi to mark Africa Union Day under the theme Investing in the Youth.
The ceremony began with exhibition of handiwork by representatives of the various regions. Some of them bemoaned the influx of foreign products which have taken over the local market due to lack of government support. Habarata Dramani is a bead maker who believes support from government can boost their work and create employment.
There are a lot of challenges in the bead sector as at now. One is finances, which most of the youth in business now are facing. It's very hard to come by finances to grow your business. So I would like to appeal to the government to help young entrepreneurs who are determined to make it on their own with capital to be able to expand their businesses. And also the problem we have now is that in Ghana, the foreign beads are taking over. We have a lot of local beads in Ghana. We have the coffee, we have the clay beads, we have the glass beads, but the foreigners they are kind of dumping their beads in the system, which is taking away our local beads. So I think the government has to do something about it, especially the Chinese. The Chinese are flooding their beads into the country, which is very cheap. And so at times, Ghanaians like to buy the ones that are cheaper, than to buy the ones from their country. So that one is also a very big problem.
Deputy Chief Executive of National Youth Employment Authority, Rocky Obin, told JoyNews government is poised to responding to the needs of the youth.
Timeline set for the entire program spans over the 4-year period, and our focus initially is to equip them and sharpen them and also make them very relevant to the very skills they acquire. So as we do all of this, we would be rolling the setting up of the industrial hub along it. They will come in phases. We would first lay out the structure, and then as we move into the deeper part of the skills training, I'm sure by that time we would have finished with the infrastructure and the structure bit of it. Ashanti region would not only have a shoe hub, but they would have other hubs that are going to accommodate most of the beneficiaries of our skills program.
Second Lady Samira Baumia urged the youth to take advantage of apprenticeship to become entrepreneurs. She also charges the National Youth Authority to rise to its mandate to mobilize the youth for productive ventures to reduce unemployment.
It is appropriate to commend the National Youth Authority in refocusing its mandate to meet the basic sustainable livelihood and skills acquisition for the youth. The call to duty is a shared responsibility. We all have our parts to play. To the National Youth Authority, I encourage you to deliver on your new mandate and mobilize the informal sector by putting youth development and skills acquisition in focus. To the Federation of Professional Trades Association of Ghana, I encourage you to continue partnering with statutory institutions in skills development and training, and to keep the spirit of apprenticeship and training alive.
Reporting for JoyNews, Nona Sensumensa.
Meanwhile, despite the objective of the AU to promote trade activities among member countries, it is still a mirage. On the retail level, for instance, various countries have restrictions which affect the level of trade. On the AU Day, Joy Business spoke with some Ghanaian and Nigerian traders and shop owners in Accra who say although there has been some tension in the past, relations between the two countries have recently experienced some ease.
We are relating very well. Ghanaians are cooperating with us and we are cooperating with Ghanaians in terms of business. So even our meeting, we hold the meeting together. When they call us for meeting, we appreciate, we go for the meeting. We don't relay back because we know that this is where we are getting what we are eating. So the relationship is cordial.
We have a normal relationship between both the Ghanaians and Nigeria. We trade, we patronize each other. They come and buy goods, and we trade with each other with good condition without any misunderstanding or any disputes. The Nigerians, most of the times when we are trading with them, we have to be extra cautious because they are very smart. And they will just come and pretend as if they are buying something, and you see the way they are acting. So you have to be very, very vigilant.
In the streets, you are not free as a Nigerian. Are you getting me? It's like that name Nigerian is a dent to some people. So doing business here is just that if you are doing business in any country, not only Ghana, make sure you do the right thing. That's the only thing. If you do the right thing, you can't have any problem.
In terms of doing business with our international people or our colleagues around, because it boosts our interrelationship between our fellow countries.
Now, the Trades and Industry Ministry has announced plans to set up factories in 10 districts in various parts of the country for the processing of soya beans into milk. This forms part of government's industrialization program under the One District, One Factory policy. Prince Appiah has more in this report.
Deputy Trades and Industry Minister Carlos Kingsley Ahenkwa says the project will provide jobs for the youth and reduce rural-urban migration. He spoke at the launch of the Enhanced Nutrition Value Chain in Ghana initiative by the World Food Programme.
That in line with the NVAC program, the government, through the rural REP, has established or is establishing 10 factories. 10 factories that are going to produce soya milk in 10 different districts. Beneficiary districts will be Gushegu, in the northern region, Zabzugu, in the northern region, Cape Coast, Ara, Asebu, Akamankasi, in the central region, Chiriponi, in the northern region, Kwame Danso, in the Sene West district, Adidome, in the Volta region, Winchi, in the Brown Afro region, Yakote, in the Nabdam, Upper East region, Chekrum, in Ejis Juabin, and of course Eremon in the Laura district. These factories, which are going to be commissioned in the next few months, are supposed to enhance the nutritional requirements of people living in these areas.
Mr. Henkwa says measures are in place to remove bottlenecks in the Ghanaian business environment.
The ministry is developing a national industrial revitalization program, an export development program, an industrial subcontracting exchange, and refining programs which will support small and medium-scale enterprises. We have already engaged with major players in the sector, such as the Registrar General's Department, the Lands Commission, Electricity Company of Ghana, the Ghana Water Company Limited, and the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, to reduce the bottlenecks associated with doing business in Ghana.
There are concerns about availability of raw materials for regular and efficient supply to feed the proposed factories. Government, however, indicates collaboration with private partners will address such worries. Here is Deputy Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Collins Intim.
In the coming weeks, the government of Ghana, through the Ministries of Local Government and Rural Development, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, will come up with a number of agricultural initiatives that will lay the foundation towards the establishment of a sustainable raw material base for the One District, One Factory concept. Each participating metropolitan, municipal, and district assembly will be required to come up with an agricultural project proposal that will support between 10,000 farmers and 20,000 farmers to cultivate an average of 10 acres of an approved cash crop within the next 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, database of all the participating farmers and their farms and plantations will be established. In the process, several millions of jobs and business opportunities will be created. The environment will be enhanced. Food and cash crops will also be produced. This will endow and position all the districts strategically for the private sector participation.
For Joy Business, Prince Apia reporting.
And on that note, we draw the curtain down on this week's edition of The Marketplace. Thank you so much for keeping company with me. And of course, do join again next week for more interesting developments in the world of business. My name is Emmanuel Apwachi Biatu. Enjoy the weekend and good afternoon.